Okay, hello, this is Greg from my YouTube channel, All Is Number. I noticed some events occurring lately. Oh, here we go, some screen problems. I noticed some events occurring recently in the Strait of Hormuz that are of concern, and also of, let's say, tariffs that I've had some question over as towards whether or not they're actually real or not, so I'll just get right to it. I want to basically try to develop a story here before the story becomes old and not relevant. Anyway, long story short, what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz would appear to be some sort of a false flag of some kind, in which they want to try to get, they're going to keep trying to basically get us to throw off, start a war with Iran, basically. So what they might be trying to do is take, basically it's like this. You can tell that there's an issue because, okay, they need the war to basically have a plan B to bring in the agenda, which is basically eventually have desolate earth down the road in the end times and consolidate people into what are called mega regions. And so they need, this is part of their plan B, I think, and so they need a war with Iran because it would draw nations into war because they're either participant or full-on member of what's called the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which would then draw in all the regional powers surrounding them, which would basically kind of like end the world to a certain extent, or cause for desolate earth to occur, which is in the book of Revelation and book of Isaiah as well. So long story short, what's happening over there is that you have what's the word for it? You have the people who are on the ship look kind of white underneath their masks, and that's a little bit of an issue. They don't look quite Iranian, they don't look quite dark skinned, and you have to ask, why are they wearing masks when it's very hot outside? It's very hot in the Strait of Hormuz. It's very hot there. It's not going to be warm. It's not going to be cold at all. So they're wearing ski masks maybe to, maintain some anonymity, trying to look like, not show their faces, but at the same time, they don't show their faces for a reason, because it's probably people who are not really Iranian boarding the ship at all. So that's one issue you have. You can't see their faces at all because of the ski masks. Okay, so the other issue is that they need this war, and so they're going to do what they can to basically get it started. And this is one way of getting started, is by conducting the false flag. The other thing is there's occult things on the ship here and there, a couple things here and there. They have a double X on the Stena Max thing. It's a hidden double X. You gotta look very closely. Double X is usually regarded as the Seal of Saturn or Seal of Solomon. It's contained within the Star of David. It's not really called the Star of David. It should be called the Seal of Solomon. It's a different, it's a type of, it's a hidden symbol, basically. So the double X has a meaning on itself, because the ship's called, it says Emo Max on it, and then, oh wait, oh man, oh yeah, Emo Max and then Stena Bulk are the two names on the ship, and it's a British ship apparently. It has red and blue on it to show you that, well, it's, for one, a British ship, but red and blue has its own meaning all unto itself if they chose that as the color scheme. There's some red and blue towards the top part of the ship that has to do, that's, where the smoke essentially comes out, or whatever refuse they're burning comes out of. It's red and blue, has colors that have to do with, well, let's get back to the Seal of Solomon. Seal of Solomon is used to control demons in antiquity. Basically, it's also regarded as like a hidden 666. So it's like a very hidden way of saying 666. So you have to calculate that number. So the double X contained within on the ship itself, it's in the word Steno Max. So it's a double X. It's hidden there. It means 66, so it's a way of saying 666. It's also a way of saying, what's the word for it? It's a way of, well, then we had the word Stena Bulk, which I'm not so sure. I haven't numerology calculated that. They took down all the professional numerology calculators on the internet, so I have to draw one out by hand. You use Pythagorean Chaldean numerology to get, basically, the calculation done correctly, so I don't have the ability to calculate that. If it equals 33 or 13, then you know it's a hoax, because 33 or 13 are used as hoax codes, and the reason for that is due to the fact that it's has to do with Christ's death. Christ was 33 when dying. When death approached, Christ was 33 at his death, and then 13 has to do with 33 is also a way of saying 13, because 13 has to do with the third of the angels that fall from heaven, because 13 you just throw a line through and it becomes 1/3 or or 30 the angels that fell from heaven. Anyway, so long story short, if that code isn't there, it would be hidden in the name of the ship. But it also might be hidden, there might be numbers hidden within the longitude and latitude of where the ship is located. And this is how they talk to one another. They talk to one another through colors and numbers, hidden numbers. So pretty much, that's kind of like where it looks like it's going, and what things are doing with the ship. It seems like that it's a false flag, and they also covered their faces up because this is it's a technique used in cinematography sometimes to make people look evil. Basically, you would try to you cover up their faces. Like in Star Wars, they have the stormtroopers, right? So the stormtroopers look evil because you can't see their faces at all. It makes you think that they are therefore no goodniks, basically, which is the true case. You can't see their faces at all, so they look kind of evil. So the same goes for using ski masks on someone's face. It looks very questionable. They look like they're like terrorists, basically. But below the face, you can kind of see they look kind of white. So that's a bit of an anomaly, being that Persians don't look too white typically. They don't look like me. It's a bit of an anomaly, so that's a bit of a problem. So, I mean, because they can totally fake this event, as they fake quite a few things lately. So anyway, that's one thing. And then the other thing are the tariffs I'd like to go over real quickly, because I gotta get back to work soon. Okay, so the tariffs are apparently up on certain manufactured goods. The tariffs, coming in from, the exporting East Asian nations, basically have tariffs up on their goods, supposedly. I think they're fake tariffs, and I'll explain why. Okay, so anyway, Dollar Tree's items are not tariffed at all. Apparently you'd think that they would go up in price. They're all from, Dollar Tree has stuff from China, Vietnam, Bangladesh, etc. Long story short, so they're not tariffed, so that's odd. So what are they doing then? Are they favoring businesses by tariffing their goods? Are they helping out people producing textiles or producing certain manufactured goods by giving them more money abroad? Or is this used as a way to, like I said, favoring businesses, as in, like, one business will be favored over another? That's one big thing about it. That's a big deal. For example, my store seems to have higher priced goods occasionally, but I mean, it's not all that bad. I mean, it's still moderately affordable, but not if you have a family. Anyway, long story short, you have basically the the other big thing is that they could be using this to have higher priced goods to bring in part of what's called Agenda 21 or Agenda 2030, which is apparently an environmentally friendly agenda that's getting pushed globally, especially here. And what they would be doing they'd be encouraging people not to throw things away. Because think about it like this: some of the bookshelves at certain places that you go to, retail places and furniture, etc., clothes, is much more expensive. You don't want to actually throw that thing away if it's too expensive. You don't want to just get rid of it. Heck no, you don't. You want to keep it. And that might be encouraging people to not throw things away. And so that's a very good possibility of why they have the tariffs high, and they're quote-unquote tariffs to me because they're not applied to all stores. And so it's a bit bizarre over here. They don't have tariffs on all these goods. So it's very weird. So it's a bit of an bunch of anomalies. And so that's the deal. They're basically getting people accustomed to not throwing things away, because we have kind of like a throwaway culture in which you kind of take, in order to grow the economy, they have to basically continuously, the old economic model is predicated on constantly expanding the economy, meaning constantly having economic growth somewhere, which is impossible. It's a fallacy. You can't have constant economic growth when something like that's going on. So when you can't have, what I should say, you can't have infinite economic growth when there's a finite supply, finite amount of materials and commodities, right? So what they're doing is that they're trying to get out of the old economic model, maybe, and condition the people to not throwing things away, which is good and all, because the new agenda is supposedly environmentally friendly. So they are using slowly conditioning us to not throwing things away, basically, is what it looks like. Because, like I said, you're not going to throw things away that you pay more for. It'd be dumb, okay? So, and maybe they're also preparing for the fact that there's eventually going to be higher priced consumer goods, because, etc. There might be higher prices on oil to get the shipping going, because most ships probably use diesel at this point. Actually, they use diesel, from what I think I know. It's only the nuclear reactors on aircraft carriers, basically. So anyway, I think that's what they use. Anyway, and then you also have, like, a bunch of other things, including that cost as well. But anyway, long story short, that's what they might be doing, is they're upping the costs on certain manufactured goods for these reasons. and it's not because there's tariffs. And the other things they might be doing is harvesting fear, okay? Because if you think that the tariffs were up before World War II was started, so they upped the tariffs, making you think that we're going to go to war soon. It's a conditioning process. They're just doing nothing but conditioning the population to getting ready for what is essentially their agenda. And that's what I think they're doing, because that's what happened before World War II. You had tariffs up on all, because you have things like the Young something or other tariff in 1919 declared, and you have a bunch of other tariffs put up in America and other countries too as well, to protect their manufactured goods. So that's kind of the deal, and that's why I think that this is set up the way it's set up. So I'm going to get going, and I hope this video actually records, because I've not done this on the phone yet, and we'll see how it works. Okay, take care, and God bless.